These are the examples for section 4.2 on the unit circle. So we're going to be using those trig ratios and information from the unit circle to answer these questions. So example 1 says to determine the exact values of the 6 trig functions of the angle. So given an angle on a unit circle, we learned earlier that the ordered pair that we're given is the cosine comma the sine value of that angle. So I already know 2 answers based on that. So I know that the cosine of this angle theta is equal to negative 8 over 17. I also know its reciprocal value. The reciprocal is just where you flip the value over. The reciprocal of cosine is secant. So that means the secant of this angle is negative 17 over 8. Next will be the sine of the angle theta is 15 over 17, and its reciprocal is cosecant, which will be 17 over 15. And then the third one is going to be tangent, which we know is sine divided by cosine. So if you take 15 over 17 divided by negative 8 over 17, that's going to give you negative 15 over 8. Okay, and then the reciprocal of tangent is cotangent, so that's going to be negative 8 over 15. So these are the 6 trig values that they're going to ask you for. Anytime you see 6 trig functions, you want cosine, sine, tangent, secant, cosecant, and cotangent. Okay, number 2 says find the point xy on the unit circle that corresponds to the real number t. So instead of theta, they've given us t equals 4 pi over 3. So if you look on your unit circle for 4 pi over 3, it's in the same position that 240 degrees is. And we know that we've got 2 functions already on our unit circle, which is the sine and cosine value. They just want to know the ordered pair, which is cosine comma sine. So the ordered pair for 4 pi over 3 or 240 degrees is the ordered pair negative 1/2 negative square root of 3 over 2. That's all they wanted to know. Find this point, tell me the ordered pair. Okay, number 3 says to evaluate sine, cosine, and tangent for the real number t equals negative 7 pi over 4. Well, I don't have a negative 7 pi over 4 on my unit circle, so I'm going to find an angle that is equivalent. To do that, I'm going to add 2 pi to the angle, and this will find a coterminal angle. Okay, so if I add negative 7 pi over 4 to 2 pi, that's the same as adding 8 pi over 4. Negative 7 pi plus 8 pi is going to give me 1 pi over 4, which is equal to 45 degrees. So either way you want to look at it, pi over 4 or 45 degrees, we're supposed to find the sine, cosine, and tangent. So we have those values on our unit circle. The cosine of negative 7 pi over 4 is going to be square root of 2 over 2. The sine of negative 7 pi over 4 is going to be equal to square root of 2 over 2. And then the tangent of negative 7 pi over 4 is equal to 1. So it's a matter of finding an angle that it is equivalent to on the unit circle that we already know. So this time it just wanted to know sine, cosine, and tangent. Okay, number 4 wants us to evaluate the 6 trig functions for the angle negative pi over 2. So if you're unsure where negative pi over 2 is on the unit circle, you can again add 2 pi to find a coterminal angle. So negative pi over 2 plus 4 pi over 2 is going to be equal to 2 pi. So negative pi over 2 plus 4 pi over 2 is equal to 3 pi over 2. So negative pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2 are equal angles. So now I'm just going to find the 6 trig functions for 3 pi over 2. So the cosine of negative pi over 2 is equal to 0. The secant of negative pi over 2 is its reciprocal. Reciprocal of 0 is always going to be undefined. If you take 0 and you flip it over, you're dividing by 0, and you can't do that. Okay, the sine of negative pi over 2 is negative 1. Its reciprocal cosecant will also be negative 1. Tangent of negative pi over 2 is undefined. So that means its reciprocal, cotangent, is equal to 0. Anytime you see undefined and 0, they're always going to be reciprocals of each other. So those are the 6 trig functions for negative pi over 2. Number 5 says to evaluate the trig function using its period as an aid. What that means is this is an angle that goes around the circle more than once. So 8 pi over 3 is not on my unit circle, but I can figure out what it is by subtracting 2 pi from it. So if I take 8 pi over 3 and subtract 2 pi, that's going to be the same as 8 pi over 3 minus something over 3. And that's going to be 6 pi over 3. So 8 pi over 3 minus 6 pi over 3 is 2 pi over 3. So 8 pi over 3 and 2 pi over 3 are the same angle. So now I'm finding the cosine of 2 pi over 3, which is on my unit circle. So if I find 2 pi over 3 on my unit circle, the cosine is the x value, and that is negative 1/2. So the cosine of 8 pi over 3 is also negative 1/2. Okay, number 6 says to use the value of the trig function to evaluate the indicated functions. So they're saying the sine of some angle t is equal to 1/2. We don't need to know what that angle is. It doesn't matter. They want to know the sine of the negative angle t and the cosecant of the negative angle t. Well, sine and cosecant are one of the odd trig functions. What that means is the value of the negative angle is equal to the opposite of the value of the positive angle. So all I need to do is take the 1/2 that they gave me and change the sign for the sine value. So sine of negative t is just going to equal negative 1/2. You just change the sign. Now for cosecant, cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. So I'm going to flip the sign over, and that just becomes negative 2. Okay, so your homework in this section is on page 299. You're going to do 2 through 40 evens. And this is mostly just using your unit circle, finding information, knowing how to use those trig functions.